Today I am talking about the satin stitch. So this is a piece that I've been working on in the background. I always have a piece that I keep just to work on as I'm relaxing. This is just for me to enjoy. I love this fabric. This is by Martha Negley for Free Spirit Fabrics, and it's from her Trees collection. I might be getting the name wrong, but this is the horse chestnuts. And I know I've mentioned this fabric before, and I had just started on this area. So I've been working on the leaves, and I've been doing satin stitching. Now you can see if you look closely, I've been doing lots of different textures. I have some of the DMC, the cotton tapestry wool here, and then I'm using just regular tapestry wool in other areas, just to give it a little bit of visual interest with all the colors and everything. So the one thing, whenever I mention satin stitching, people seem to either love it or hate it. The hating comes from feeling like you can't get your stitches even. And I always recommend just practicing. I will often, with a shape like this, if I were doing it all one color, or actually I could talk about this part right here. So because I'm working one big stretch of satin stitching in one color, I actually started right here, and then I did a stitch here, here, here. I kind of make like an outline of stitches. For a larger area, I always recommend that because it helps you to keep your stitches all lined up. So that's my number one recommendation. If you're working in a large area, to kind of give yourself like a foundation of stitches, like a base of stitches to work with. My other recommendation really is just to practice it. Just doing a lot of it makes it come easier, and it feels more relaxing than when you actually sit down to do it. And my third recommendation is use beads to hide things. So if there are jagged edges, like if you look super, super closely, which you are the only one that's going to be looking super, super closely at your own work, but you can see I didn't really go to the edge here. There are little areas that I might want to fill in with stitches, or that weren't quite as even as I wanted them to be. And so today I'm going to show you how I can hide little things and add some extra visual interest with beads. When I get to this point in the project and my piece is getting a little heavier, it's a little heavier this way because I have a lot of beads on it. I use this is a Nerge, it's a lap stand, or it's a tabletop stand. I really appreciate this stand for when my piece does get a little bit heavier. It's adjustable, and it's just that extra set of hands that I need to hold the piece. Now I can stitch and not have to worry about stitching plus holding my hoop. So I'm going to be using these blue, it's a really pretty mix of blue seed beads. This is a size 8 seed bead. I always recommend, if you're just getting started with beads, to use either a size 8 or a size 6. And you can see, if you looked super closely, you can see that I've mixed both sizes in my work. These are size 8s right here. And then I've got some size 6s over here. Those are both really good sizes to start with. So I've got my beads, and these are from John Bead Company, and they're the Czech seed beads. And then my thread, because I'm just doing some beading, this is from Wonderful Specialty Threads. It's a 12 weight cotton, and it's called Fruity, F-R-U-I-T-T-I. And I will link all of these items down below. So when you're starting out with beads, the only thing that I recommend before you thread your needle is just make sure that your bead can pass over the needle. And I just do that by putting a bead on a needle, and if it fits, then we're good to go. Every once in a while, you'll find a bead in the mix that has like a smaller hole, and I usually just take that one out and use it another time with a smaller needle. But for the most part, if your needle fits if your bead fits over your needle, you're good to go. Okay, so I thread my needle, and let's see. I'm going to fill in this little area here. You see, I have lots of little jagged edges. I could keep going with other colors of thread, but because this area is so heavily beaded, and this area is going to be dimensional with these wool circles, I wanted this area not to stand out quite as much. I just want some beads. I wanted it to be mostly thread. I wanted it to be low on the fabric, not to have as much dimension. And that's why I just want to add a few beads throughout. I'm just going to pick a spot to start, and you're going to see how easy this is, and it's going to make you want to play around with the satin stitch when you can see how just a simple bead elevates that stitch. Basically, all I'm doing is grabbing a bead, putting it on my needle, and then pull your needle and thread through. This variety pack of beads is really fun too, because I don't have to think about colors. I just grab a bead and put it on the needle. And I'm just letting these fall where they fall. That's how easy it is. I'm going to keep stitching these on here, and then I'll show you what it looks like when this leaf is finished. Okay, so I finished adding the beads. I'm going to take it out of the holder. You can see how it just adds a little bit of detail there. It balances the beads that I have here. I'm going to continue adding just little bits throughout here. I'm going to do this area, and I might even switch greens and do some green beads over here, because there's not going to be a lot of beads in this area because of what I plan on doing with these circles. So I hope that encourages you to try some satin stitching, and don't forget to check out my free encrusted beadwork class on my YouTube channel. Happy stitching!